Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, May 16th, 2024. I'm Gene, and you're hanging with Uncle. Now, normally we do the show on Wednesday, but I was just like pooped, so I'm doing it today. This show for me is actually a fun hobby because, again, um, a lot of perspective that we bring forth from this show is from the point of view of the average working citizen that is in the high low class or low middle class income category. Because remember, we're nothing but a product, and there's a lot of things out there that as a product we don't want to be around. So I want to talk about trafficking today and how serious that is, and anything from drug trafficking to child trafficking to auto theft, because people steal cars and traffic that stuff, and there's a lot of money in that. So that's kind of like what I want to talk about today, because I think families need to be aware of what is going on and how to get information to better protect themselves and keep their families and loved ones safe. But in order to do that, we got to have our man on the street. So welcome to the show, Brent.
Gene. Yeah, definitely. Information is power. Not only should you know thyself, you should know thy community, and then ways to better your life and safeguard your family. And it's a cooperation, it's a handshake in your community between the federal agencies, the police, and community members concerned for the upkeep and care of their community. We become a united front to go ahead and help battle crimes, including trafficking. So yeah, this will be a great show, brother.
Thank you, man. I'm looking forward to it. So, um, one thing people always want to know, well, how can I trust that information? Is it reliable? And I can tell you from my work in law enforcement that the numbers presented, like for as far as reporting your crime rate, um, those numbers are factual because there's grant money available to combat whatever ails your city. So, say for example, if your city has a lot of auto thefts, there's money out there to help law enforcement combat that, and so you want those numbers to be accurate because that grant money will be given to you, but there's a chance you could be audited just to make sure that those funds are spent appropriately, the way that you said they would in the grant and what you needed it for. So yeah,
True, man.
the information you get when you see crime is up, crime is down, homicides up, homicides down, you can take that to the bank.
Yeah, and I understand that process now because I am looking into non-dilutive funding, grant money with U.S. aid for foreign projects, and local money to help out with USDA projects and such. So you have to go ahead and apply for those grants, and then go through. You set goals, and they monitor that. And as long as you're accomplishing those goals, you get more and more every about year. You'll get say 250,000 the first year, maybe 800,000 the second. Third year, you're maybe getting 2.5. But now this is research grant money. The grant money for your police forces would be probably very similar, I would think, but I cannot speak to that nature. What I can talk about for certainty right now, because I'm actually looking at the process too, is I started working with the UN. So I'm now working with the UN Office of Drugs and Crime. I'm with the mission for Peace and Prosperity Trust. So we're looking at ways to help out, protect people globally now. So we'll be going through similar processes that happened here in your community, happens globally through UN money as they dish it out. But
So,
yeah, Gene, that was big news. I just got that a couple days ago, and
congratulations,
I will
brother.
be speaking. I will be speaking at the UN event in July in Vienna, and I will be talking about human trafficking and smuggling of migrants. That's the conversation on July the 10th, and I believe July the 15th. So as a delegate, you go there, and then as a panelist, you actually speak. So I'll be having a panelist position speaking in front of the UN about ways to help protect communities, but also my family's experience in moving around populations during World War I and World War II, which we'll talk about that at a later time. But yeah, Gene, I got a title now. I'm HE, His Excellency. So I told the guy from my buddy from out of country, Pradeep. I'm like, hey Pradeep, you ever seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures? I'm the most excellency, but he'll have to watch it to figure out what that means. But that's the first thing I thought. Man, there's going to be a lawn here speaking in front of a UN, a person with a law enforcement background that's been helping federal law enforcement for a very long time. So I'm happy, man.
That's
But go ahead,
outstanding.
brother.
Well, so I kind of want to talk about how the FBI collects its data, because every state in the union is required to submit their law enforcement data to the FBI, because every law enforcement agency in the United States receives federal money in some way. Even if it goes to the state and then the state disperses it, all law enforcement agencies get some federal money. So, where I worked, every sheriff's department is required to collect crime data. And every municipality that had a population over 2,500 people was required to submit crime data to the state. And they were making a transition, which is what I was involved in. So that used to be like a ranked base reporting system. So say, for example, on the corner of Main and First, there was a homicide, okay? And under a rank-based system, homicide would be the only crime that would be reported. But under NIBRS, the National Incident-Based Reporting System, all crimes are reported and given equal value because it tells more of the picture. So say that homicide was a result of a carjacking, right? Now we also know there's been an auto theft. And we can look at that reporting data just in that neighborhood and see, well, is the problem homicides? Is the problem auto theft? Was this a one-off because this is the only one we had? But it basically is a great investigative tool to help be proactive instead of reactive in your law enforcement tactics. So in that regard, especially if you live in a bigger community, that information is available to you, and you should be able to get that information to whatever interests you, whether it be where are all the drugs sold, or like is there a spot where a child abduction happens more often. You can find that information out. Brent?
True, man. Look at information is power. So the more complete information you have, it paints a better picture of your community. So I worked for the U.S. Commerce Department before doing the census, the 2000 census. So we collect demographic information for businesses to use to go ahead and decide how many available housing units are in a community, how many people, human resources, the infrastructure, so a business could decide, hey, the Kenai Peninsula, Alaska might be a place I could set up a salmon business at, or whatever, a fishing business, or
Right.
a processing business, right?
Right.
But you could take that information and actually help safeguard yourself and your community. There's some open source information out there, like Zillow. Zillow will give you a little brief picture of crime, a little bit, and this and that, areas, values, medium values, and all that. But really, that's not the most up to date. What you're talking about is up to date, and that's
It
real
is.
time information.
And
Go ahead, brother.
they publish a book annually. You can get it online of crime statistics and look at your state, and it should be broken down. If they're using NIBR's reporting, it should be reported to you for anyone to see. Well, how many burglaries are happening? Where are they? What time are they happening? Is this within my neighborhood? What are the commonalities of method of entry? Are they breaking windows? Are they kicking in doors? Do they have lockpicks? All this information is collected and stored so businesses and families can be aware of what is going on and take necessary steps to either decide to stay there, protect themselves, or go on down the road and look for greener pastures.
Exactly. I mean, so as we collect demographics on criminals are collecting information on you, and they're
Yeah.
getting a lot of information right now on the internet about you, your habits, what you do, what time you might leave for work, everything. Then they also understand how safe a community is, maybe how lax, maybe even they have local information about how lax maybe the system is. It's this county is a little bit more stricter. You could get away with easier in that county. Right on the edge where there's all these houses that are getting attacked might be an area that's close to a higher crime area. So you can start to link together things and patterns. But the only way to identify patterns is if you see it happening. So that's what you got to do, is you got to start building a system so information can be shared easily.
And that's
And
just
that,
it. Yes.
huh?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's just it. Again, if your software can speak to each other and say, for example, I live in city A, and in city B, there's like the same type of crime or going on through the city using the same MO, modus operandi, or, how you normally do stuff, to put it in layman's terms. And if your software can talk to each other, now that's how joint task force are formed to combat the issue going on between both locations. Because if there's any similarity at all, that will help pick up on it. And it's an amazing tool. And I'll get into an example later, but go ahead and finish.
Hearing what you're talking about, this software, I'm thinking, well, since I am working with the civil society unit with the UN, I am actually now a police force, per se. I'm trying to gather information on this. I could actually probably write a program over all those other programs if it's shared, and go from state to state and actually make it myself, and then bleed out information that's considered sensitive,
Yeah.
like say people's names,
Yeah.
right, Gene? And then actually connect all the dots for everybody. I
So,
just have to generate funding, which I'm working on, with that 501c3. I already figured it out. I figured out too, I need to help police with DFIR tools, because now prevention and what they're talking about now with thought crimes, if I'm actually showing you how to red team crime units, crime gangs, and then figuring out how to prevent this from happening.
Right.
Try to, now we're working as a unit. We're working as a unit to go ahead and safeguard not just one community, but all communities. And what I'll probably do is, I like to use open source, and I'll probably develop a site on LinkedIn. I live in a really unique community right here. I'm surrounded by training centers of the FBI and the CIA. So I think I'm just going to call it the community I live in, Selly Station, the zip code, but I'm going to put anywhere, any place, anytime. Because this model that I create and I start sharing information could be actually done in your community, and I could help link it up through that site. I could have more professionals from law enforcement come on board and start coming there and sharing it. And now we're all shaking hands. Well, now we have overlapping jurisdictions safeguarded, because now we're shaking hands with each other, right? And then we're starting to lay out jurisprudence tactics to actually fight against rising threat levels. If I said that right? Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So one example I want to give to anyone that's listening that has families that are important to them. I used to work, not work with, but partnered up with in getting how important it is to collect certain information, and using this software, what you can do. So I was working with Dr. Golden from the University of Arkansas, Little Rock, and he was collecting data on sex offenders in the county, Pulaski County, where the university resides. And all sex offenders have to register at a certain level. So are you a bad sex offender? Are you this is a one-off? So for example, the lowest ones, the best example I can give is you're 18 years old and your girlfriend is 17, and mom and dad get mad and now you go to jail for statutory. It's really, but there are so many people on the sex offender registry that fall into that category. I do have some sympathy for some members on the registry, but he pulled up a map and plugged it. Okay, this is where all the registered sex offenders are in Faulkner County, and look where most of them are gathered by churches, right? Because there's always a youth group, or parks goes without saying, or malls, or just there's, you can get that information to know, oh, this is a pretty area, I like it, but how susceptible to your family is the crime that is potentially in that area? Brent?
No, there's so much to unpack, man. Really, there's so much that we could cover with this. You got such a awesome background, Gene, with your law enforcement, being in the military and all that, and then you have a law degree on top of that. So we could help direct people, to of these threats, and we have been trying. We've been trying, but now I think our platform is about to grow a little bit. I'm getting help from chairs of the Human Rights Commission now. All this, as we bring in these groups, like I said, our little template that we could create, it could be done anywhere and copied anywhere and make a civil society. And that's what we're trying to figure out in our African a project right now, how to make a civil society down there. So that's why I wanted to make to do something cool for Mother's Day, for one. By doing this episode, but because we want to make sure as the threat level is rising here, that people have that we can make families feel more secure and to help out anywhere. And that's how you build a civil society too. It comes down to having the right technologies, understanding where the threats are, like you're saying, by malls, by all that, and that's something that's unfortunate, but you have to understand that so you safeguard your child, and because we really want to get to a point where you don't have to worry about your child playing in parks because everyone's watching those children together. Maybe drones flying overhead, right? Maybe we have a technology to monitor them, biometrics, everything. Cameras are going to be changing. We're going to start figuring ways of utilizing technology to keep you safe, whether you're in America, Sully Station, or anywhere, any place, anytime on our little blue dot.
And honestly, that is the whole point. You summarize that and put it in a capsule in 5 minutes, and I could not have said it any better. And the most important thing that I personally feel about this information is that the public needs to know how law enforcement collects its data and how it's recorded so they know what to ask for and know that it is available to them. You can get the numbers. Now, if you want specific reports, that information is still available to you. It may not be free, but you can get data. So, say, like for example, the sex offender chart, or example that we just laid out, right? Um, yeah, like you said, man, just using that information, you can go to your police department or sheriff's department and know, well, within a 6 block radius, you have X amount of registered sex offenders. We can't tell you who they are or where they live, but, out of, let's say, maybe if your area has 100 people and there's six, it might not be that big a deal. But say if your area has 50 people and now there's six registered sex offenders, that's something that you might want to take a little bit more seriously. You see what I'm saying?
It's the Freedom of the Information Act. They do charge per page. Some places are more than others. Uh, some might even be free. I think it all depends on the community, really. Um, but that's something that you got to figure out. Or if not, you can search online and get pretty up to date information. Like I said, but I always feel like we could always do a little bit better, and that's what we're trying to talk our way through to you a little bit with this conversation.
It really
When
is.
when me and Gene talk, we don't talk too much before the show. We talk a little bit, but then we both kind of trigger things when we talk to each other, and we can help explain it. And if I got a question, he explains it. But this way, you're kind of seeing how it's progressing too, and then it helps you understand the process, because there is a process to everything. Like when you safeguard your family, you should have an action plan. You should have a standard operating procedure in case of fire, right? In case of a burglary, anything. You should have scenarios that you and your family go through that strengthens the core of your family. Your team. And that could even extrapolate further to your community.
So,
So now you got trusted people in your community. Now it's all of a sudden it was you and your family. Now you look around, it's 100 families standing together, and it's more.
you're right, man. The more families that have this information, and here's the beautiful thing: it's not just you can get it to know numbers. It's not a robotic system. You can tailor make your research and inquiries for information to specific things. Like I said, collecting crime data using this system is probably one of the best investigative tools that I've seen in my law enforcement career.
Well, if it's called Neighbors, I was thinking Gym Neighbors right away. So, golly gee, there's some data out there to help you out. I don't know what's another saying he does, but anyways, man, it was a fun show. What? Yeah, Shazam! There's ways to protect your family. Shazam!
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, Neighbors and
Neighbors.
other things.
Neighbors. Remember, national.
Oh yeah, Neighbors.
But still, it's close enough. I like the joke.
All right, man. Accurate information, not jokes. I got it. All right.
So,
well,
yeah, if you guys have like community watch meetings, this is information that you should know is available to you, and there's always a community resource officer or department in your law enforcement agency, whether it be your city sheriff or city police or sheriff. This information is available to you. Don't be afraid to ask for it.
my community MPO, my community outreach specialist, and you should know it. You should know the captain of your police, and I won't call them out right now, but I know them both. They're two fine women, right? But that's about engagement in your community. I've been here for just under 3 months now, and I feel safer every day knowing that I communicate with my local police, state, and federal authorities to make my community safer and better every day.
Thank you, Brent.
No problem, brother.
All right, well, I believe that's all the time we have for today, but guess what? Tomorrow, we will be back. Zane and I are back on Fridays, and I am looking forward to getting back on schedule. So thank you for hanging in there with us. Thank you again to our man on the street for being with us and giving his input. And remember, if you like this information, if you like the information you receive here, hit that subscribe button and click that thumbs up, that like button. It helps let the rest of the world know we exist out here. And that bell on the right side is the notification bell. Click that and you'll be notified whenever we go live or put out new content. So remember, be kind to one another and treat each other the way you want to be treated. I'm Gene.